Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is doing great. I'm just waiting for people to come on and we'll get started. Hope everybody's doing good. Okay. Hmm. All right. We have some people populating. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for populating. And if you're watching this later, I'm glad you're joining. Hi, Randolyn. It's so good to see you. Love you. So just wait just a little bit more. We're going to be doing some yummy stuff. Whoop, let me get myself organized here. I thought I was organized, but then I got disorganized, so it's all right. All right, we'll get started. So we're going to talk about what it does it mean to be marked by love. And if you've been tracking with me for a little while, you will know that this is a really love you too. This is a really big hot button for me. And, I like to share my hot button because it is a source of a lot of happy and we vote for happy. So most of you, or at least some of you know that I just came out with my brand new book, Marked by Love Revised and Expanded Edition. And I'm going to compare and contrast a little bit for you because I have my old original Marked by Love book, which is fabulous. So here they are. And one is revised and expanded. So there's 100 more pages in my brand new Marked by Love revised and expanded version. The other thing that's kind of fun, and I will share this with you, is that this came out and it went crazy, happy, good. We became a #1 bestseller and a #1 release in our category. So I went ahead and put that on our brand new cover. So I revised it again. So let me share what the newer version of the cover looks like because it's really cool. So there you go. And it's got our little badge so we're not confused. This is revised and expanded versus the old one, which is fabulous. And you can still get it. So whichever one you get is great. But we did become a #1 bestseller, which is super cool. Thank you for all of you that went ahead and purchased that. I'm going to hide that so we can talk about it. So we're going to talk about like why is this a big deal? And this is what really launched my ministry. And we're going to talk about it because it is yummy, life-giving, and just for you. We're going to talk about what does it mean to be marked by love. And for those of you that have been tracking with this, but you know what? We need fresh reminders, don't we? We need fresh reminders of our worth, our value, and an encounter with the person who is love, who is God. So God is love, 1 John 4:8 and 16. So that is the nature, that is the essence of who he is. So Father, Son, and Spirit as other giving love before the foundation of the world, exploded in a race of children that look just like him in their flavor, right? And so, hi, Linda, so good to see you. And so, as God's children, we were created in the image and likeness of love. Okay, that is the essence of your design. So, in the book, it's the tagline is unveiling the substance of your true identity. So, spoiler alert, that is the substance of love. But we need to get revelation of this, right? Because we struggle as people. We struggle with our worth and value. We struggle with our significance. We struggle with insecurities. And a lot of times that will manifest itself in a lot of weird ways. Sometimes that struggle manifests and it's really obvious that someone is insecure with a low self-esteem. But sometimes that manifests as people who seem like they're the most confident people in the world, and maybe they're high achievers, but underneath that is a grinding sense of not enough, a grinding sense of, well, if you only knew me. When I've got news for you, if we only knew you, we would be blown away by the truth of who you are. Because the truth of you, who you are, looks just like God, just like love in your flavor. You see, God created a race of children that look just like him in their flavor. Now, you may ask me, why did I redo this, right? Why did I redo this book? And really, it's because I have grown since then. So, which means I have grown and expanded. And I also recognize that in our struggles as tracking with being marked by love before we were marred by anything else, with understanding the essence of our identity, we have to get to know a God who is love. Good morning, Robert. So good to see you. And this God who is love sometimes scripturally does not look or feel like love in the Bible. So we see all the passages where God, there's judgment, there's wrath. We talk about heaven and hell issues, or all of that. And a lot of times God will look like a punisher. It's like, how can that be a God who is love? And so I grapple with a lot of these theologically. So, the bottom line is theology really matters, because what we believe will ultimately determine our relationship with God. And so if we believe that somehow he's separate, or that somehow he's angry, or somehow that he's disapproving, or somehow that he punishes, it is going to be really hard to go to this God in where we struggle, where the rubber meets the road, and say, wow, I messed up again, or I really feel bad about myself. I have so much shame, and I did these things, and how can I still be good and holy and pure when I did these things? And it's very hard to go to a God to get that healed up. So we have to heal up our concept of who God is. So I go into a lot of deeper dive with that kind of stuff with the people who want to. But ultimately, the book is based on encounter. You see, when you encounter God as who he is, as a God who is love, always. If God doesn't love you on your worst day, when you did the most despicable thing you can think of, and you're so ashamed, then he doesn't love you, because love is unconditional. That means without conditions. And as you find, if God loves you there, then God is able to start to heal those things in you, because you start to realize, wow, I'm loved and adored there. I must be so valuable and so precious. And it starts a healing process. See, I like to say you were marked by love before you were marred by anything else. Life has a way of marring us, doesn't it? Life has a way of beating the snot out of us. Life has a way of traumatizing, and teaching us lies about God, about ourselves. And when we are believing lies about God, it's very hard to connect with that God. When we're believing, and then it's very hard for God to start to heal the lies that we believe about ourselves, that we're not enough, that we're shameful, that there's something wrong with us, that we're insignificant. And a lot of people that have a shame-based nature in and of how they think, not by design, but how they think of themselves, will operate in that to try to compensate. And that is hell. God created you to be free. And when we realize that we were marked by love before we were marred by anything else, that means the essence of who you are, the gorgeousness of who you are, the beauty and the holiness and the powerfulness and all those things. Good morning, Ruby. It's so good to see you. Of who you are your original design. That is what's eternal. So when God goes about the process of conforming us into his image, of stripping off the things that don't look like him and developing the things that do look like him, it's not that we're not that. It's that we have lost connection with who we really are. And the only way to develop the sense of who we really are is by connecting with the one who designed us. So let me throw some scripture at you. Um, let's see. Let's go to Ephesians 2:10, and I'm reading this from the Amplified Classic Edition. It says, "For we are God's own handiwork, his workmanship, recreated in Christ Jesus, born anew, that we may do the good works which God predestined." And I'm going to stop there for a second. So let's go back. So we are God's own handiwork. That means God made us by hand. I have a client, who has struggled a lot. And one of the things that God revealed to him he basically has so much shame that he's disconnected with himself. And he's just a lovely, lovely person. But one of the things that God ministered to him is that he was handmade. In other words, God poured himself into him when he was crafted. It was personal. It was a labor of love. You were a labor of love, where you had his full attention, where he wasn't multitasking in a way that he was distracted and sort of glossed over you. When God created you in his image and likeness, whoa, he was blown away with what he had made, because you are his son and daughter. And so we are his own handiwork, his workmanship. The word workmanship is the word poema. That means when you were expressed, God could only express you in poetry. You are his poem to the world. You are his love poem to the world. Because if you don't manifest, if you're not unveiled, there's a hole in the universe that only you can fill. And God said, I created this one whom I adore. And if we go to Ephesians 1:4, it says, "And he chose us to be his very own, joining us to himself." That means he joined you. That means, good morning, Larry. That means you are joined to God. God had to secure you before he ever sent you to the planet. That's how precious you are, how valuable you are. Even before he laid the foundation of the universe, because of his great love, this was his motive. He ordained us. That word ordained is from the Aramaic, and it means actually marked by love. I didn't know this when I wrote my book, but he ordained us or marked us with love so that we would be seen as holy in his eyes with unstained innocence. Let me tell you, when God sees you, he sees you holy, unstained, and innocent. Now you can say to me, well, yeah, but how can he do that? When I've done all these horrible things, and we've done crappy stuff. And, well, number one, we need to realize that all sinful ways of being have been forgiven. So if they've been forgiven, that means there's no punishment. That means God is relating to you as who you truly are, not these fallen ways of being. So he sees you as holy and innocent and unstained and beautiful and powerful, just like he made you before the foundation of the world. Who you are those things. So you were marked by love before you were marred by anything else. So there's a lot of things that when we entered into the seen realm, that marred us. There's trauma. There's rejection. There's abandonment. There's addictions. There's compulsions. There's all sorts of things that happen. There's tragedies that happen that mar. But the beauty is who you are as marked by love is eternal. And let me tell you something that will win out. You see, you may not have confidence in you right now where you're at, but God, you can have confidence in the God who crafted you, that he is love and love never fails. You are God's love obsession, not in a gross way, but in a way that he's just always about you. If he's unconditional love and that he always loves, that means he's after anything that would harm you. He's after anything that would cause you to act in ways that are not worthy of you, that would be destructive to you. This is why God hates sin, because he loves us. So God's wrath is wrath against the things that harm his kids. So he hates sin because sin harms us, but he loves us in these sinful ways of being and is there to remind us, my son, my daughter, you are holy. You are innocent. You are pure. Yeah, I know you did those things, but those things have been forgiven. And in that, I'm empowering you to be who you really are. You see, we always operate from our identity, from who we are. We operate from the place of who we are. So when we don't know who we are, we do a bunch of mess. That is not who we are. So a lot of our challenge is to wake up to who we are, to wake up to who God is, wake up to who we are in the image and likeness of God. And that expression of who you are is breathtaking. If you don't manifest, if you're not unveiled on this side of heaven, that means there's a hole in the universe. But I got news for you. You will manifest. It's just a question of how fast and where. So, God, if God is for you, who can be against you? Yeah, if God is for you, what else is there? Look around. Okay. Those accusing voices, God says, ooh, who could lay a charge against God's elect? I've justified. Who is out there that could possibly accuse you? Because I've forgiven you. And in that forgiveness, I'm empowering you to be who you are, because you've already been marked indelibly. That means you can't remove it. It's like a tattoo of who you are is in the image and likeness of love, who is God, who never fails. That's your image. You are an image bearer of love. That is eternal. So, regardless of what happened to you, yeah, what happened to you doesn't define you. It is an event, not an identity. What didn't happen to you doesn't define you. It is a non event, but is not an identity. I have someone who says, I have a hard time believing God cares about the secular part of my life. I deal with major depression, yet it seems God doesn't care about healing this disease. He absolutely does. But I think you are sharing from your heart, which I love that honesty, that you are sharing such a human struggle. When we're that depressed, it really seems like God doesn't care. That's part of the element of depression. And I will tell you that he is after every bit of this whole thing. You know, our mental health um, is something that is so important. And so God is relentless love. That means he's in relentless pursuit of you and every place of you that doesn't know him experientially, and relentlessly about that process of tearing off the layers of the lies that somehow believe he doesn't care, he wasn't there, you're not worth it, you're less than. All of these lies. He is in relentless pursuit of that. And let me tell you, it's not over till love wins. So you may not have confidence in yourself, and you may not have experiential confidence in God, but there is some level of experiential confidence I would say you do have, and you build on what you already have. So I would use, for all of you that are struggling with this, and I thank you that we had someone who was so honest with their struggle that they related this. So I would grab this, and in that, I would go to these love encounter breaks. And this is where you literally are starting to journal out all of these things. I literally guide you through with the questions to ask, with how to connect with God, to have you journal it out. Because I'm saying where you feel disconnected is where emotionally you probably disconnected from your own heart. And so there's some very private things that you can do to reconnect. And even in the places where, it doesn't feel like God, you care, it doesn't feel like you're there. Absolutely, I understand that is a human experience. This is why Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me on the cross? Did Father God really forsake Jesus on the cross? Absolutely not. Okay. God was in Christ reconciling the whole world, but Christ entered into our human delusion of separation that said, you're not there, you don't care, right? And the hell of that. And God dove into hell to get you the hell out of hell. So wherever you're experiencing that, that is your birthright as a son and daughter to get that healed up so that you know that he cares. Now, let me just say this, in tracking with God, whether or not he cares or not, and all of that, we have to understand an expectation. How does God manifest his caring? And sometimes we think, if you really love me, you would remove this from me. Well, he will remove it from you, but sometimes things are a slow process because God knows exactly what to deal with next. Because you have been marked by love. You are so exquisite in your design that in order to heal some things, God doesn't like rip things out. Sometimes we wish he would, like, rip out the depression, rip out the shame, rip it out. Well, you know what? He would destroy you. That is why in the Bible it talks about the wheat and the tares growing up together. Let them grow up together. It's like, really? We got to let the tares be the. Yes, thank you, Linda. I am so excited with this book. Do me a favor. When you get the book, if you get the book, and you guys get the book. It's so good. I'm so excited because it's such an upgrade. Go ahead and get the book. Please take a picture of yourself with the book and put it on your social media. And go ahead and write a review. That will help me. And if you see that little really cool, I figured this out. I was so proud of myself. You see that QR code it's my left upper right hand corner. Scan that with your phone on the photo thing, and it'll and then press the button to whatever website, and that'll take you to where you can order the book. And if you want to, there's also a course that has been upgraded that you can do. And you can check that out. We're doing a bundle with it. Sorry, getting into promo, but this is actually really good. Do that. Okay, do all that. But let me just say, you guys, I care and God cares about these hellholes that you are in. And all the places that do not know how amazing you are, how adored you are. That is your birthright. Let me just tell you, you do not quit till you get this. This is the long game. Remember when I said, isn't that cool? I'm so proud of me. I'm so proud of me. Let me tell you, it took me a long time to get to the place where I could be proud of me because I had so much shame. So this work is 20 years of me pouring myself and this work and helping you get there faster. But in answering, and I know I kind of got a little bit off topic, so I'm getting right back there. See, I got it. So this concept of this slower process, let me just say, if there is a slower process in you and your manifestation and you getting conformed into the image of Christ and you getting healed and you understanding that you were marked by love and this is who you are, the who-ness of who you are has already been established. Okay. And you tracking with that I actually love myself. I actually think I'm actually pretty amazing. I do. You know why? I look just like the one who created me in my flavor, and healing shame and healing depression and healing less than and healing all these ways of being. And I'm talking to some people here where we stay in our heads because it's not safe to connect with our hearts. Well, for you to be fully alive and fully human, this going into the scary places of connecting with your hearts is kind of where the money's going to pay off. And there's bit by bit by bit that you can be led in that. And so, and a lot of these love encounter breaks that I have are actually what I do in sessions to help people professionally in sessions. Oh, I have, thank you, Linda. Sorry, I saw your comment. I'll get to that really quick. But so what I do in sessions to help people break through. And if you know, and you may need someone to help you lead you in that. But listen, this is 24.26, I think, is how much it costs. Is a whole lot cheaper than my sessions. So this will be, and a lot of times what I'll do is, even in my sessions, I will have people get the book so that in between sessions they can do a lot of this work and go faster, further. This is about you connecting with God so that you can manifest as a son and daughter, because you are marked by love. The places you've been marked do not define you. Okay. Your successes don't define you. Your failures don't define you. Only God gets to define you. Okay. So now I can respond to your thing, because I actually finished my sentence. Thank you, Linda. I am so glad that I've helped you so much through the years. That I cannot tell you that, but seriously, that is why I'm here. If I'm not helping people, I don't know why I'm here, right? So thank you for letting me know that. That's so encouraging to me. So guys, let me put up my little presentation. I was kind of proud of myself for figuring out how to do this. So let me show you what, if you order your copy as of like a couple days ago, you'll get, your copy will look like that. It's the exact same copy as the one I showed you. I haven't even gotten one of those copies yet. So that's just the funny thing about that. But I wanted to really make sure that people understood this was the revised and expanded version versus the original version. And then we hit #1 bestseller, which is so crazy happy. And we just wanted to put that in there. So the cover will look a little different if you got it, if you got an earlier copy. So all of that. So let me see. I'm going to hide that. Okay, I'm back. So I'm interested. How many of you have a hard time? I'm kind of interested in doing some more interaction. How many of you have had a hard time understanding this concept of being marked by love? I think this is for us. It's one thing for me to speak, but I'm kind of interested in kind of your struggle. And I know for my struggle, I'll talk about me, and then you guys can share with you. For me, I was so bathed in shame. That was really my identity, right? So I was never enough. And I did all these things, which were great things. Let me tell you, being a doctor is a great thing. It just was, I wasn't called to do it. Okay. But it was never enough. So I had to do it Ivy League, and I had to do blah, 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 and the stuff. And if who you are in and of yourself without the trappings is not enough, the trappings will never make you feel like you're enough. But when I started to heal and that shame was stripped off, then I started to really track with who I was, and realizing that that is eternal. That is eternal. Love will win. What does that mean? That means he will conform you into his image, not because you're bad, but because you are so good, because you are so beautiful, right? And I know that we struggle. Yeah. And I know that we struggle connecting with God. One of the things that we need to do is heal how we see him. This is one of the reasons why I wrote a lot of the expanded portion, because we struggle with how we see God. And God is the healer. And if we only, our ultimately, it's a question of, God, can I trust you? God, can I trust you here? And can I trust you here? And so we grow in our trust bit by bit. And so that's how we grow. But as we grow in understanding who God is, he's so much more beautiful than we've ever realized. And so as we grow in that, he turns around and says, oh, my son, my daughter, you are so good and so beautiful. And this place where we feel shame, Like, it's not just that we do bad, but that we are bad. Okay. God is after healing that. And we get those lies, honestly, we get those lies through trauma. And sometimes people told you that you were bad. Sometimes bad things happen and you internalized it, saying that, well, this happened because I was bad. No, this happened because you were born into a fallen world, is why these bad things happened. And then sometimes we internalize it that God was okay with it. And that's a real problem, because then you disconnect yourself from the person who is the one that can help you. And so this is a healing process. This is a healing process. And so we navigate. And if it takes time, and all of you, and I'm hearing a lot of you out there saying, why can't I connect? Why can't I do this? Why does it seem that God doesn't care? No, God cares so much. He's just not going to rip you through the bars of your prison. You see, you're so precious that God will hang with you in your prison to help you start to cooperate, to walk in freedom. There's parts you need to do that He will empower, but He's patient with it. He's very patient with it. There's no place that you can go that He's not there. If I make my bed in the midst of hell, even you are there. Why are you in hell? To get you the hell out of hell, right? You've heard me say this before, but it's really true. And we'll get it eventually. You know why? Because I have confidence in God, who is love that never fails, and that He is in relentless pursuit of every place that does not feel good enough, that feels that you're bad, that feels like you're not enough, all of that. And that is depressed. And so God is not going to rip out the tares, the Bible says. The tares were the grasses that looked like wheat, but didn't produce wheat kernels. Okay. And sometimes we wish that God would rip all that stuff out. Well, if He did that in us, He'd destroy us. So He's like a surgeon. If you have say a brain tumor, okay, and a lot of times brain tumors are really tough to remove because they have all these little fingers that extend out. Well, if you rip that thing out, you rip out the healthy tissue. So God sometimes lets these things grow up and then removes the tares, the lies of the enemy. And He does it in a way not to destroy you or harm you, because you are holy. Yeah, you're as holy as Christ is. And I talk about that in my book. As He is, so are we in this world right now. Right now, with all your messed up. That is actually who you are. And actually, anything else is a lie. But it takes a while to heal from our lies. Remember, you were marked by love before you were marred by anything else. So what's been marring you? Well, the lies marred you, right? And so God knows all the trauma and all the things that made you feel less than. And then He also knows all the ways of being that we show up as, to compensate for these deeper things, right? So sometimes we show up as super brainiacs because we don't feel like we're enough in and of ourselves. Maybe we learned the lie that we were stupid. So we compensate by becoming super cerebral, okay? Because to try to compensate. But when God heals that lie, we don't have to be hyper cerebral. We can just be smart because we're smart, right? We don't have anything to prove. Sometimes we get arrogant. Sometimes the most arrogant people, the most narcissistic people are narcissistic because they have massive trauma very early on. Okay. And showing up in this arrogance where it's all about me is actually a coping mechanism. And so God, I'm not saying it's okay to be a narcissist. I'm just saying that's not actually who you truly are. So if you show up hyper arrogant and it's all about you, it's probably because you really feel like you're worthless. And so you have to compensate. Well, God is all about stripping these things off because He made nobody worthless. He made nobody shameful. He made nobody less than. He made nobody not enough. He made nobody insignificant. He made nobody invisible. All of us, we were made in the image and likeness of God, who is love, beautiful, powerful, holy, and whole. And all the ways of being that we did to try to compensate. And sometimes we dive into all sorts of sinful ways of being to medicate. right? Or sometimes we get trapped in stuff. There's all sorts of things. But whatever you did that was a sinful way of being is not who you are. It's a manifestation of your confusion about who you are, because you are as holy as Jesus. You were marked by love before you were marred by anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I did want to promote for just a second. Go to that QR code if you don't have it, and that'll help connect you to the copy. So this is the original Marked by Love. Isn't this great? I love this. I still love this. This is still available. Okay. And then this is the expanded Marked by Love. I'm trying to get it to line up. There we go. So this is my new one. Go get that. And I'm just going to compare, because there's a significant, hold on a second. Let me do it this way. There we go. There's 100 pages, more stuff. You want to get it. If you love the original, you'll really love the expanded. Go ahead and grab your copy. And when you do, take a picture of yourself with it, if you would, or just show up your copy and put it on your site, if you would. You don't have to. And make sure you write a review. That helps me get the message out. Guys, go share this. People need to know that their identity is that of the identity of love. That your identity, you are ordained or marked by love before the foundation of the world, when God actually created you. I love you guys. I'm going to go ahead and go. Have a great day. Bye-bye.